I feel the spirit moving in me. I feel the spirit moving in me.
Ilani faced many challenges in her life. She was orphaned at a young age. She had to work as a maid and a waitress to support herself. She also had diabetes, which affected her health and her appearance. She was often discriminated against for being Hawaiian and for practicing hula, which was seen as pagan and immoral by some. She was even arrested once for dancing hula in public. She's remembered as being one of the most extraordinary Hawaiian women who inspire all of us. And she inspired us, and she inspired me in this talk because she is a person who lived right life work, and that's what we're talking about today. We've been studying the Eightfold Path as given to us by the Buddha, and we've been there's 8 steps or processes or procedures on the Eightfold Path, and we've worked our way through, and we are now on right effort, or as I'm calling it for this talk, right life work. Yeah. Well, actually, it's sometimes called right livelihood, but it seemed to me that kind of draws up in my mind that it's about a work, like an occupation. And the way that I'm interpreting it is it means that it's our life work. It's about tapping into our purpose. It's about contributing to our life, to Maui, to the world by living this purpose and doing our life work, a right life work. So what stops us from living our right life work? And I kind of been exploring this and being with this. What I've discovered is that sometimes I have thoughts like, I can't make a difference. I don't know what to do. I don't have the energy or the time or the wisdom or the ability. Or what if I can't do it perfectly? Ever hear any of these phrases go through your mind when you are looking at the possibility of doing something that's maybe a little bit outside the box, a little bit different, maybe a little bit challenging? It's like our ego can come up with all these excuses of why we don't do something, why we don't step out there and live our life work, why we don't live our purpose, why we don't volunteer, why we don't help others, why we don't be actively engaged in our lives in a way that brings people up. And so today we're talking about what is it that we can do here on Maui? What is it that we can do as spirits having a physical experience to lift up our world, to lift up our life, to lift up our love, to really connect with the essence of who we are so that we can demonstrate, reflect, and be a positive emissary of spirit in the world. So to live our right work, I like the idea of being worthy of the world. Does anybody know who Krista Tippett is? If you listen to spiritual radio, you probably have heard her. She is a journalist and often has spiritual guests on her show, and she's got quite an amazing consciousness herself. And she says this: when we strive to cultivate a spirit of service, to be worthy of the world, as opposed to feeling the world is not worthy of us. So it's really kind of reframing ourselves to be worthy of the world, because the world really is of spirit, right? So how can we as spiritual beings be of that spirit in the world? How can we demonstrate that? How can we experience that, express that in the world? It's a really, I think what Krista Tippett is saying, it's really about how can we appreciate this amazing opportunity that we have to be alive on this planet as expressions of life, as expressions of truth, as expressions of peace, of expressions of joy. You know, sometimes I think an excuse that we hear is, you know, if I'm being that light, aren't I sort of throwing peas to swine, right? Why should I make a difference? What does the world care anyway? What difference can I make? And the idea is really, how can we be of service to the presence of God, that which Carol referred to earlier today as breathing us? How can we be service to that presence in the world? If Spirit is breathing us, if God is breathing us, then we should be breathing into the world the essence and the truth of who we are. Without hesitation, without pause, without rationalization, or without trying to find excuses for who we are and how we can be in the world. Because each of us has unique gifts. You have unique gifts that have, you know, I almost said been given to you. I don't believe that's true. I believe just by the nature that we're expressions of God, we have these innate abilities, and you have these innate abilities, not that God chose to give them to you, it's just who you are as a being, as a perfect expression of Spirit, of God, of light, of wisdom, of truth. That is your essence. So being worthy of the world it's like, yeah, I'm worthy of the world, because the world is who I am. The world is the essence of Spirit, and I want to live, to love, and be from that place, yes? So you say, okay, so I have these gifts. How do I find what they are? Right? Because you have them, they're in there, and you know them on some level. So I've created a couple questions that you can ask yourself to help you determine what are the gifts that you have. And the first one is, and I'm sorry there's so much, I don't like to usually put so much on a slide, but I wanted you to be able to see these and read through them, and perhaps it makes an impression on your consciousness. The first one is, what brings you joy and energy? What brings me joy and energy? What really lights you up, right? What is it that when you're doing it, you lose all track of time, right? And it's just like, wow, you know, I love doing this, because what your gift is something that brings you this power and this light. And then another one is, the second one is, what talent or skill comes easily to you? What comes easily? Something comes easily. You've been given something, you know, and maybe you've repressed it. Maybe now's the time to discover what that is and to give from that place. And if that doesn't help, you can look back, okay, and what have I done in the past? What have I done in the past where people said, wow, that was amazing what you did. That was phenomenal. What you did was so beautiful, so excellent. So, even if it's something in your childhood, what was it that you do well, that is your essence? And the other classic question that often comes is, what would you do if the money didn't matter? Right? We can often use money as an excuse for not touching into our essence because, it's going to cost so much, or, I only have so much money to spend. I got to hang on to it. I got to cling to it because my money is my truth. It's my essence. It's my energy. And sometimes the energy that keeps us from doing anything. Sometimes we say, but I'm just going off script on this one, but it's like, sometimes we feel like if I spend my energy doing this, I'm not going to have it for something else. Big thing that game that our ego plays with us. And the truth of it is, when we do something that we love, when we give from our hearts, we don't lose energy, we get energy, right? That's what really, the word empowerment to me means we are empowered because we're accessing that stuff on the inside, that truth, that essence, that power, those gifts, and that empowers us to want to do more. We often lose our power when we do things that don't feed us. Right? When we force ourselves to do something that just doesn't resonate, then I struggle. You struggle when you try to do something that you don't really want to do. So really what we're talking about today is, how can I access that power within me, that love, that passion within me? And another thing, that number 5 up there, is, what local needs or challenges resonate with me? If you look at Maui, look at the world, what challenge resonates with you? If I didn't have this job and didn't get to do this thing, the amazing thing that I get to do, I was thinking about it this week and imagining there's so many children on Maui who have been displaced, homes and schools, because of the tragedy that we're in the midst of. And it made me think, if I had the time and the energy and didn't already have a full-time job, I would probably go volunteer in the school district, right? Because I know that they're needing people right now to help them manage all those children. Because they're taking children from all over and dropping them here and dropping them there and putting them in different schools and different classrooms. And I just can't imagine what that's like. So what local challenges resonate with you? I know I've heard so much about so many amazing people on Maui stepping up and volunteering and bringing things to all the centers. And what's kind of happened now is there is so much stuff, because people just brought stuff. Thank God. People just brought stuff. And now they have so many supplies and so many clothes that that's not what they need. And in our meetings today, we're going to talk a little bit about, if we're going to bring something to someone to somewhere, call them up and ask them what they need, rather than just going through and cleaning out your closets and cleaning out your garage, to find out, what really do you need? What can we bring that's going to serve people that have, where there's an opportunity on Maui? What does Maui need that I can supply? I just kind of breathe, because we all want to help, don't we? I mean, this has been an amazing time for people on Maui to step up and to help each other. So all of this is about sharing our gifts, sharing our love, being present, being worthy of the world, means that we offer our most cherished gifts to the world, what we have. my life work heals and inspires and transforms Maui and the world. Say that with me. My life work heals, inspires, and transforms Maui and the world. And the second thing that we can do to really help on Maui and in the world is to go with our hearts, to lead with our hearts. I love what the Buddha said. He said, your work is to discover your work, and then with all your heart, give yourself to it. Wow, that's powerful. This is a profound teaching from the Buddha to say, to find out what your work is, to find out what your life work is, and then give that with all your heart. And to me, what that means is to truly do that means to go to our heart, to look into your heart and discern what it is that you love. And I have some questions about this one too, for all of us to consider. And one of them is, what do I wish I could do more of in my life? How is it that I want to love in a way that celebrates and honors and empowers the people of Maui? And another way of looking at that is, what breaks my heart in Maui that I can help? Right? Because if we really look at what moves us, what moves me as kids, and I'm just thinking, along the line of what we can do is, how can we get to children things that they love? Many of them lost all their toys, lost all the stuff that brings them joy. Is there a way we can identify some families on Maui that we can help to bring the kids a toy? Bring them something that's going to bring them joy. That's what hurts my heart. And if I could give my heart to something, what would it be? What is your heart? If you really and this is really about questioning your heart. What is it in my heart that that wants to be expressed by me, wants to be loved by me? And perhaps this can be answered by looking at, what did I love as a child? What did you love as a child? If you could put yourself back in that remembrance of being a child, can you do that? I think we all can. And to go, if we could put ourselves in the places of some children and think, what would have set my heart on fire if I was a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 14-year-old that I probably have lost now? What would that be? I love what Confucius said. He said, wheresoever you go, go with all your heart. I love that. Isn't that just the way that we want to live? To live kind of with our heart on our sleeve, even though it sounds kind of vulnerable. But there's strength in that, right? There's real strength in that. And I just a little bit on the light side, I know when I was a kid, we used to pass around these sayings about what Confucius said. Do you remember some of those? And so I thought I'd mention some of those just to kind of give us something to laugh about, hopefully. Hopefully you'll laugh. But Confucius said, man who put head on the railroad track to listen for train, likely to end up with splitting headache. I don't think Confucius ever said any of these things, but they're kind of fun to think about. Confucius said, "Men who have clear conscience usually have bad memory too." Another one, "Men who make mistake in elevator, wrong on many levels." This is probably my favorite one. "Man who pushes piano down a mine shaft, get tone of A flat minor." All right, and I'll end it with this, and you can hold up your applause sign or your... All right, so "Man who jumps off cliff, jumps to conclusion." Or as Confucius said, wheresoever you go, go with all your heart. And the message is really for us is, how can we open our hearts? You know, the natural tendency for us human beings when we have a difficult situation or a tragedy is to get into fight or flight mode, right? And not to feel. And so what we get to do during this time is to feel the love, is to feel the pain, is to open ourselves to what we can do to share the love that we have. And the third thing that we can do to fulfill our right life work is to know that there's a reward in what we do. And that reward is that our work or our efforts shapes our consciousness. Right? So that which we serve, that which we are, that which we open ourselves up to in the service of Maui, in the service of the world, shapes our consciousness. Right? We know that what we think, say, and say shapes our consciousness. And in the same way, the things that we do shape our consciousness. John Ruskin said it this way. He said, "The highest reward for a person's toil is not what they get for it, but what they become by it." Because it's like we know that the challenges that we face in our lives are really opportunities to embrace the fullness of who we are. And so this is just to remind us, to remind you that it's all about consciousness. It's all about spiritual growth. And as we give, what we receive is kind of an up-leveling in our consciousness, right? Lending itself to help us to be more strong, to be more loving, to be more powerful, to be more giving, to be more generous. So right life work is about infusing mindfulness in all that we do. And really, can we be so mindful? Can we be so highly tuned that we are aware of what's going on? A couple days ago, I was in Safeway, and a man walked by me who was on his phone talking to someone, and he said to that person, "Yes, I was affected by the fire. I lost everything I have." And it shocked me, right? It brought it home to me. That was the first person that I've been exposed to that lost everything. And I wish I could tell you that I was mindful in the moment and responded in a way that was more mindful than what I did. What I did was just go, "Oh, wow," to myself. What I wish I had done now was to say, "I'm sorry. Can I help you?" I wish I was more mindful. I wish, but I can't take it back. But what I can do is be more mindful. To take that as a lesson of something that happened to me, to say, wake up. Because we all are going to be given an opportunity in some way to be conscious for someone. And so, what I hope for you is that you can be more conscious, to be more present, to be more loving, to be more aware. You know, because what we're healing beyond our own sadness and our own grief is the sadness and grief of people, hundreds of thousands of people on this island. You know, and we have the amazing opportunity to be like the Buddha, to be like Jesus Christ, to help people to heal, to be present, to be conscious. So, that this next step is, in to living our right work, is just to be mindful, to be present, to be able to be wherever you are in the fullness of who you are. To ask, what needs haven't been taken care of on Maui? What do people and organizations want? What do they need? And what can I offer that serves me and serves Maui and serves the world? How can I be more mindful? What matters to me? And then to give until you're full. Right? Because giving makes us full. And at some point we have to decide, I've done what I can do, and now it's time for me to rest. So we want to be aware as we're giving that we need to take care of ourselves also. The tendency for a lot of people is just to dive in without taking care of ourselves. And the fourth key to find our right life work is to pray. Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, said it this way: to work is to pray. Purpose is the source of inspiration. And what I think that Charles Fillmore was saying was that to live is to pray. Right? Oftentimes we think that our prayer needs to be done in a some kind of sacred sitting down, used to be on our knees. But now I believe that praying is everything. Praying is the act of mind, body, and spirit. Prayer is words, prayer is thoughts, and prayer is action. So, as part of this whole idea of mindfulness, can we be so present in our mindfulness that we realize that mindfulness, our consciousness, our beingness is a prayer? Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, that's a prayer. It's affecting the consciousness of Maui and the planet and the world. And there's an amazing thing that happens when we see it this way, is that when we see the things that we're doing as a prayer, it changes the dynamic of that thing instantly. It instantly transforms it from what can seem like a challenging opportunity to a gift. To think, wow, this thing, this giving, this loving, this being present to a difficult situation is a prayer. And that it affects the world. I know when I taught school in Oakland California. Many of you know I taught first and second grade in East Oakland, very troubled area at that time, and probably still is in Oakland. Most of the kids in my class were drug babies, or came from abusive households, and sometimes it was all I could do to hold it together in the classroom, right? Because the kids would literally be jumping off the walls. And back in those days, there was no aides or anyone to help out. I was alone with those 20 kids in that classroom 6 hours a day. And I found relief in praying and realizing that my work is a prayer. That which I'm doing and serving these children is a prayer. And it instantly gave me strength that I didn't know that I have, to be able to hang in there and to love them in the midst of all of the stuff that was going on. So Fillmore reminds us that our dedication and living our prayer fills our days with ripples of compassion. And we can live from that place, and we can realize that every moment is a prayer. Every activity is a prayer. So what can we do? So here's some things as I conclude today to reflect on. So what stops you from living your right life work? What stops you? What holds you back? And what can you do to be worthy of the world? What can you do to love? What are the gifts that you have that you are so fortunate to be embraced with that you can share with the world? And how will you share from your heart? Remembering that the reward that you get for your service and your efforts is that your consciousness is lifted up. You will be stronger. You will be more loving. You will be more powerful. You will be more truthful. You will be more centered. You will be more mindful. And lastly, to remember that your life work is a prayer. In essence, you are a prayer. You are the expression of that prayer in everything you do. My life work heals, inspires, and transforms Maui and the world. Let's say that together. My life work heals, inspires, and transforms Maui and the world. And as a way of joining together in meditation, I'm going to play this really beautiful song titled Om Shanti Om. Breathing in and breathing out. I invite you to listen to your heart. Know that right now, in this moment and always, the presence of love is who you are. Know that the presence of God, the presence of Buddha, the presence of all these amazing ideas and teachers are essentially who you are. That you have the same wisdom. You have the same light. You have the same beingness, the same opportunity to serve Maui and to serve the world. Spirit is great in you. And imagine right in this moment that you are being filled, that your cup, your soul, your very beingness is filled with the light of the universe. That all the inspiration, all the energy, all the life, all the wisdom that you are is accessible to you. Anytime, any place, and right now. Imagine that it's moving in and through and as you, in your mind, in your wisdom, in your spirit, in your body. That you are lifted up at such an incredible level that you have potential beyond even your furthest imagination. Jesus said, you are the light of the world. You are the light. You are the perfection. You are the illumination. Breathe that in. Feel that. Know that. Accept that. Be that. Breathing in and breathing out. I invite you to slowly become aware of this time, this moment, the light in our sanctuary, and the light in your beingness. And to see that as you open your eyes and bring your awareness to this moment. And so it is.
Where I live.